And in the SIPA community, as you know, there are many different viewpoints of how to end this war.
Again, IGP, Institute for Global Politics, Institute for Global Politics, Institute for Global Politics. That's Mike Pompeo now.
And he has every right and reason, therefore, to continue
Hillary Clinton, Victoria Nuland.
Aggression against it. You might get a temporary pause, which would only advantage Putin. He can, try to ramp up industrial production, try to get more North Koreans to show up. I mean, whatever it is that he would do in any kind of pause. But I don't think that is the end of his ambitions. And I agree with what has been said about Europe. I mean, yes, Europe is reacting, obviously, against what they have seen coming from Trump, but they're also under enormous pressure from a lot of the border states that are clearly worried about what Putin would do to them if.
Yeah, and this is why they have to control Hungary and Poland and Austria and Germany. Don't you love it? Hillary Clinton's just a professor now, guys, just an academic, not a back channel for shadow diplomacy. Victoria Nuland, she forgot everything she knew, and she's just, and her Rolodex has been cleaned. Her phone has been wiped. And here's the thing. These universities are all getting funds to run U.S. aid money into Ukraine to carry out this war. This is why I was saying it was very stupid, in my opinion, to base the defunding of the universities off of, like, the anti-Semitism charge or stuff like, do it because they're undermining U.S. foreign policy. That they're not 501c3 fucking charities. They're running war operations. The USAID would not fund them to carry out a war if Trump has declared that he's against the war. So why would we allow USAID and the State Department, the Department of Education, Department of Labor, Department of Commerce to run money into the universities to do that? Because they're a university and they're just doing research. They're not doing research. It's fucking front for operations. All right. Let's listen. Let's get back to the. But what I'm listening for in the Pompeo thing is, so he's asked, oh God, the Trump administration might recognize Crimea. That would be a huge loss for us. And I'm listening for it, like, is Pompeo going to say something like, chill, we got an ace up our sleeve? Ask me that question again tomorrow if you think Trump is going to. Ask me, set your clock for the exact moment that you just asked me this, 8 p.m. I want you to ask me this question again in 24 hours and see if Trump is going to recognize Crimea at this time. Let's see.
I'm not naive about what's physically possible in this.
And I'm going to eat a little bit because I haven't eaten yet. So I'm going to turn my mic off and I'm just going to let this play for a little bit while I absorb.
Moment. But that doesn't mean one should go and say, no, we are giving up for all time. This is one of the things I hope to communicate. I get asked often, when will this end? And my answer sadly, my answer sadly comes from my Christian faith, which is, there's evil in the world. It doesn't end the day that Vladimir Putin says, I'm going to cease the current operations. There are bad people that want to.
This is exactly what I've been saying for 3 years now. How many times have we talked about this in office hours or have I done media hits where I get asked, like, okay, well, when will there be peace in Ukraine? And I say, never. Never. 70 years. Random number. You don't get the play. There ain't a goddamn thing about this that has to do with peace or war. It's about seizing Eurasia. And until we have Eurasia, we will always be in a state of war because we want it and it's not ours. So until it's ours, it's not about stopping Russian aggression. It's about seizing Eurasia. So peace deal, no peace deal, that is not going to decrease U.S. military spending or British military spending or EU military spending to continue the war. A peace deal is only useful to the extent that it helps us reload to be able to conduct more war. Do you guys remember my term for this was called peace fire? That we might tactically agree to a ceasefire in a limited amount of peace so that we can reload and fire. Here you go. Listen to me and then listen to Pompeo. Now, I'm coming at it from a very different perspective. I'm saying this is what these people believe, and this is why we won't have peace. Okay? Keep in mind what he just said, and I didn't even hear him say that, versus what I predicted. So, Michael Savage. Trump, I think, if he strikes a peace deal on favorable terms, he will have the support of the blob. He will have the support of John Thune and Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell.
Lindsey Graham seems to want war.
Well, I think the issue right now is war is not going so well. If there's a peace that's struck that's temporary, that stops the bleeding, but we continue to provide war funding, in a few years we can get back to war and defeat Russia on the battlefield.
But when you say we, Trump wouldn't do that. You're saying after Trump, if they get a Democrat victory?
That's what I think is likely to occur if Trump is able to do this. You're looking past this
administration to go back to war against Russia.
Right. I mean, this is a long-term thing. It's been a long-term thing. This started during the Obama administration, continued through the Trump administration, continued through the Biden administration. We will be at war in Ukraine for the next 70 years. This is not going to end anytime soon. And this is exactly what you just heard CIA Director and Secretary of State say.
One of the things I hope, and I get the physical reality of the place. I'm not naive about what's physically possible in this moment. But that doesn't mean one should go and say, no, we are giving up for all time. This is one of the things I hope to communicate. I get asked often, when will this end? And my answer sadly, my answer sadly comes from my Christian faith, which is, there's evil in the world. It doesn't end the day that Vladimir Putin says, I'm going to cease the current operations. There are bad people that want to undermine the freedom and liberty that the people of Ukraine want.
Mike, we overthrew the freedom and liberty of what the people wanted. The people wanted Viktor Yanukovych. The people voted for Viktor Yanukovych. That was what their freedom and liberty voted for. And here's what we did to them to step over their freedom and liberty and install Yatsenyuk saying, fuck everybody else, and put in a puppet president instead. Okay? When it comes to 2014, we are the evil you just spoke about. Your old buddy, old friend who gets her money from the same place giving you your paycheck, actually orchestrated that attack on Ukrainian freedom and liberty. But what he's not saying is, no, we need to acquire Crimea. We need to acquire the Donbass. Then we need to acquire Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Siberia. Ukraine is our launch point for the acquisition of all of Eurasia. So, what do you mean put the guns down? No. Like, if we get peace on favorable terms, or if we're able to settle this, we'll use that to piggyback to the next step in this operation. This is never over.
want desperately. And they want to do the same to the United States of America, and they're trying to do it to the Israelis, right? So this challenge is, we always think about it in fits and starts, but the truth is it's continuous. And I think that's what many forgot in the West in the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union. They took a holiday and said it's over, right? It's not. And so
they didn't take a holiday. They sent in the jackals to loot the entire Russian economy. It's literally all right here. Or read it in Harvard Magazine. When Harvard ran Moscow, there were no breaks taken. There were no fucks given. We went in. It never ended.
We ought not to preclude Crimea being not only part of Ukraine, but a functional, operational part of Ukraine by recognizing it, even if it is not achievable to do what we all would really like to see happen there in the moment. This continues, and there will be another day, just as no one expected the Soviet Union to fall in 19...
Did you hear that? He said what I've been predicting this whole time. Listen to that again. DJ, run that back.
Collapse of the Soviet Union. They took a holiday and said it's over, right? It's not. And so we ought not to preclude Crimea being not only part of Ukraine, but a functional, operational part of Ukraine by recognizing it, even if it is not achievable to do what we all would really like to see happen there in the moment. This continues, and there will be another day. Just as no one expected the Soviet Union to fall in 1989, things happen and they break, but they only do so in the face of enormous resolve and real cost-imposing actions on the part of...
He is really stressing this cost-imposing, cost-imposing, cost-imposing. The next day, the most cost-imposing action ever in this war. But I want to see if he betrays it at all. We're going to listen to a little bit more, then we'll get on to the next topic.
The West.
Thank you very much. Very strong answer, and thank you very much for such position. Thank you. And as you told right now about resilience, and I just want to ask you how Ukraine today is perceived in DC, in Washington, in American political elites, in team of President Trump. What do I mean? As you know, our topic of our forum is chess, and we use these analogies. And many thought 3 years ago that Ukrainian role in this big chess game was to be a sacrificial pawn. But thanks to resilience of Ukrainian people and courage, we promoted ourselves with the support of our friends and allies to the queen, from the pawn to the queen.
No, you're pawn of the queen. It's just a British queen. But, okay. Let me just scan the transcript right here and just see if there's... Okay, let's see.
And then when Ukraine destroyed big part of Russian Black Sea fleet and at first attacked Russian tanker with Russian oil, immediately everything stopped. And now you can see, today you will work in Odessa, you can see in the sea a lot of vessels coming in and out. So this is the success, but this success was because Russia was just punched in the face. And immediately...
That's interesting. He's saying, listen, last time we attacked their ships in the Black Sea, it cleared space for us, and now we moved them out of the region. We should attack him again, right? Like tomorrow, maybe, right?
Immediately they change behavior. So what do you think about these lessons, and what would you advise to Ukrainian negotiation team, American negotiation team, how to negotiate with Russia in such circumstances?
Negotiations are downstream of true power. You captured it perfectly. If there's no hammer, Vladimir Putin will sit at the table and make demands that are simply not acceptable to Ukraine, to Europe, or to the United States of America. So you're right about a punch in the face. I'll give you the real-world examples from my time as a practitioner. And by the way, I get asked often, like, why is it that Vladimir Putin didn't take part of Ukraine for the first 4 years of the Trump administration, the first Trump administration?
He says, yeah, punch him in the face, punch him in the face. Okay, all right. Well, just hang out in the green room for a couple hours because we're about to do it. Wow, what a nice welcome gift you've given me. Boy, you moved on that fast. Anyway, all right. So, is there anything else? Okay. Yeah, I know the practitioner thing is so funny, right? And that's like the formal, you know what's so funny is like practitioner. I mean, that's like Jake Sullivan's name at this, right? At his Jake Sullivan, Harvard practitioner. I mean, they're still a practitioner. They're just the practitioner. They were a formal practitioner, and now they are an informal practitioner as part of the Shadow Diplomacy Corps. Practitioner. Like Jake Sullivan now is professor on the practice of statecraft. Yeah, operator. Practicing statecraft and world order at Harvard. The Harvard Kennedy School of Government for governance reforms that we want shoved through foreign countries. All right.